All right. Good morning. Good morning. Hope everyone had a great week. Wow. I don't know if you guys saw my last video, but I was in Maui over the was that last weekend? Yeah, last weekend. That was a lot of fun, man. What a fun time. Got to go see the road to Hana, went snorkeling, went hiking, did a dinner cruise. A lot of fun stuff. So a lot of fun today. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about tech sales and just kind of a extension of the video I made in Maui because I know that was really like quick and fast, and I didn't really get a good enough chance to kind of elaborate on some of the big bullet points. And so these are foundational basics that I've used. They're not mine. It's stuff that I've learned, and if you guys want to get the source, I can definitely include that in the link below. But want to elaborate a little bit, and this is stuff that you can use for sales. And honestly, you can kind of use it for anything, but it's really good basics to live by, good foundations that you can use for any type of level of success. And we'll start with kind of the first one. So number one, who do you listen to? And this is a foundational on basically who do you choose to be a leader? Who do you choose to be a mentor? Who do you choose which path to follow? If you guys have seen some of my other videos, excuse me, then you know that success leaves trails, and you want to make sure you listen to somebody who has what you want, who has been where you are. Okay, otherwise they're just giving you theory. And when I was doing the MBA thing, I talked to this guy, and I'm not trying to like knock him down or anything, but he would talk about entrepreneurship, but he'd never been an entrepreneur. And it was very interesting on like kind of hearing it from a teacher's perspective, an academic perspective. And like at that point, he's teaching theory instead of something that's been trial and error, right? Maybe he's interviewed a lot of people. The most interesting day though was when he brought in the class these 5 individuals, and the next week he brought in 5 other individuals. And the first group of individuals were people that were just starting out. They had gotten like venture capital. They had, formed the business. They started to make money, and they're like in that like excitement. They're in that really growth stage. It was very interesting to see. And, you did a Q&A and you asked questions. And then the next week he brought in 5 entrepreneurs that were like 20-year veterans. These guys had been through the ringer. They had lost businesses and grown businesses. One of them at the time was being sued and like losing partners. It was like, and you could tell that they had been weathered. Okay. Very interesting perspective to see when somebody starts out on the journey versus where they ended up. And they gave some great feedback. But the whole core is, who do you listen to? We're in the information age. There's so much information. You want to listen, to people who have laid out already the framework. They've already gone through the path. And when you're looking at careers, for example, if you guys are job hunting, or if you're into tech sales, for example, and you're looking at a company, I want to know who's the most successful salesman in that company. What did they do to get there? What does the average person make? I want to see already the road to success. And if you're pioneering, if you're like the first person in that company and you're going to be the lead sales guy, you better be making up for salary because it's way harder if nobody's done it before. It's harder to build something than just to replicate success. So you want to make sure you're getting the right information from the right people. Now, does that mean you discount what everybody else is saying? No. You listen to everybody. You can learn from everybody. You can, by the way, in case you're wondering, I did just wake up. So I just caught my eye. I'm like looking at the camera like, oh man, I'm looking really like morning Joe right now. But you listen to everybody. You get perspectives and feedback from everybody you talk to. I listen to different mentors. Doesn't mean I agree 100% with every single one of them, but I definitely listen, and I use discernment to see if that works for me. Do I can think of data and statistics and backup in my own life experience that actually backs up what they're saying? And the greatest teacher is really going to be your own experience that way. So keep that in mind. Who do you listen to? People who have what you want, who have been where you are. You get perspective, you get counsel, you get opinions, and you can learn from everybody. If I see somebody who's really successful, I want to learn from that guy. If there's somebody I know that's like, dude, they're doing it wrong, I can still learn from that person. I can learn something from everything around me. Ultimately, though, you listen to yourself. Listen to your gut instinct. Listen to your feeling. Use your own trial and error and what's worked for you in your life. So take that into consideration. So that was the first basic. Who do you listen to? Second basic, foundational. By the way, this is all about mindset. And the reason is that mindset is so, so important. It's like, no matter what book you read, it's either like 80% or 90%. They all say success is like attitude is everything, right? And keeping that kind of positivity going, it's with fails, especially in career and life, it's going to be up and downs. There's going to be high points, there's going to be low points, and you want to have that momentum to carry you through the low points. Anyway, so second thing is Teachability Index. Now, what is this? It's a scale of 1 to 100. 1 being like you're just, you're just completely tuned off. You don't want to learn or change or adapt or anything. You're happy exactly where you are. And if you're not growing, you're actually going backward. You're dying. So you're not growing, you're dying. You're never in the same place. And it's a scale of 1 to 100. 1 being completely, not teachable. 100 being like the ultimate student. You're absorbing, you're learning anything. There's 2 factors. Ask yourself, what am I willing to learn? Am I willing to learn new information? Am I willing to learn new techniques? Am I willing to learn a different way of doing things? And that could be a scale of 1 to 10. The second thing is, what are you willing to change? How much are you willing to change? What aspects of your life are you willing to change? There's a lot of people, and I was in that group, was really willing to learn. I learned everything, but I didn't change anything. I didn't change significantly my habits. I was hoping that others would change around me, which is something that happens to a lot of people. And if you are a 10 on willingness to learn, and you're a 10 on willingness to accept change or willingness to change or embracing change, 10 times 10 is 100. So you can kind of, multiply each number and you'll kind of figure out on your scale. Sometimes a lot of people are like, I'm 10 willingness to learn. I'm only a 5 willingness to accept change. And so you got to really be honest with yourself, be self-honest. Where are you teachable? Where are you coachable? Where are you adaptable? And if you're going to be top in sales, top in industry, you want to remember, who do you listen to? And then you've got to be willing to learn new things. You got to be willing to change habits, change thinking, change mannerisms, change techniques. And you'll be able to adapt and mold yourself to similar and mimic what patterns that they do. This is with anything. This is in sales, this is in cyber, whatever. You can use this in any method. But you really want to mimic and observe people who are already being successful in your chosen endeavor industry. And then also be changing yourself at the same time. Notice what's working for you and what's not working for you, trial and error. So very important to be coachable, really willing to learn. Don't think you know it all, right? Dangerous place to be is thinking you know it all and also thinking you know too little, right? If you think like, if you're just stuck in student phase and you're just learning, and you don't actually see any growth, it's not really a good place to be. If you think like you know it all and you're a little bit more arrogant and you're like, which I've been on both sides, you're going to stop growing. So yeah, be high willingness to learn, high willingness to change. Very essential. Third big basic that we talked about on that last video was training balance scale. And if you think of like a scale, like a balance scale, old school, they put stones on one end, they put the feather or whatever, and they would measure different things. And, I'm a Libra, so it's very easy for me to picture the scale. But on one side, you have the attitude, the emotions, the energy, the dreams. This side is really like where the motivation really is part, right? And they talk about also you have a balance. And it's kind of a misnomer because one side is your attitude, your motivation, the energy you put into it every day. The other side is techniques, action steps, patterns, actions in general, physical movements. So the training balance scale, when you're training on something, you want to be looking at both. What is the mindset that goes into it? What is the techniques that go into it? Now that's something to look at, but I would still argue that 80 to 90% of your success is really going to depend on your emotions, on your motivation, on your energy. Okay. Very, very key. So always be training yourself that way. Monitor your emotions, monitor your thoughts, but also look at the techniques, look at the systems that are working and work on those patterns as well. Create those patterns within yourself, create those patterns within your business, and especially your sales cycle. I'm gonna have a swig real quick. And I would keep it really simple. You don't need a lot of techniques when it comes, if we're talking about sales, you don't need a lot of techniques. You need to know the basics. You need how to do lead generation. You need to know how to do presentations. You need to know how to do closing techniques. But there's a famous phrase of like, I'm not afraid of the, 1,000 strikes, that you've only practiced one time. I'm afraid of the 10,000 strikes or the, what is it? I'm not afraid of the 10,000 strikes you've done that you've only practiced once. I'm afraid of the one strike you've done that you've practiced 10,000 times. That's it. And that really hits home in terms of you don't need to have 50 closing techniques on sales. You need to have maybe 2 or 3 that work, that you feel good about, that are giving you results. And those are the ones that you practice all the time. And we'll talk about those on another video. All right, number 4 steps of learning. These are the keys things I've seen in multiple books. It's really like the 4-step process on learning anything. And these are things to take into consideration. And it really works for yourself. It works in your business. But the 4 steps of learning, in case you don't know. So first step is unconscious incompetence. Next one, conscious incompetence. Next one, conscious competence. And 4th, unconscious competence. What do those mean? First one, unconscious incompetence, means you don't know it yet. It's somewhere, it's information out there. There's so much information in the world. You don't know about it yet. We can make an example of tying your shoe for the first time. When you're a kid, you didn't know about tying your shoe. You didn't even know that was an option. You were using Velcro. Second one, conscious incompetence. You've all of a sudden became aware that you weren't good at it. And you went from Velcro to like, all right, I'm going to try shoelaces for the first time. Conscious competence is the next one, number 3. Conscious competence is really the act of practicing. You're practicing something. And, if you're using the analogy of tying your shoes, it's like now, okay, you didn't know about it. You're starting out. And now you're basically, you're doing the bunny ears, or you're doing the loop swoop pool, and you're learning how to tie a tie, and you're practicing. Unconscious competence is the 4th stage, where now it's gone from what you're learning to the knowingness. It's automated. You don't have to think about it. It just happens naturally. So when you tie your shoe, you don't think about it anymore. You're not like, what do I do? And you're not taking 5-10 minutes to do it. It's just like, boom, I don't have to think about it. You ever try to go home or drive home and you start setting out, and then like 20 minutes later you get home, you're like, how the hell did I get home? That's because you've done it so many times. You've done that pattern so many times. You're now at unconscious competence. The best martial artists in the world, they practice punches, kicks, hundreds, thousands of times over. So when there's an actual fight, they don't have to think about it. They just do it. It's super quick. It's automatic. It's an automatic system. And when you're learning anything, that's kind of the goal you should be to. And the best way to do is by focusing on one thing at a time. There's a great book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success Through Selling, by Frank Becker. Might be Becker. And he talks about that he made a list of 13 habits. He'd focus on each habit one at a time, once per week. And by doing that, he did that for 13 weeks. He do that same list 4 times a year. And because of that, he got to unconscious competence super fast. Now, that's one way. The other method, if you guys have checked out the other videos I've done, is use TechnoTutor. That is the fastest method I've seen to get from what you're learning about to into the knowing stage the fastest. I did some this morning. And you can use it on books. You can use it on habits. More importantly, use it on limiting beliefs. And I'll make another video about that. But if you haven't, check out my review of TechnoTutor. I made a video about it maybe 2 weeks ago. Definitely take a look at that. I explain everything in full. That is by far the most powerful tool I've seen for immediate change, and will get you more sales, more income in the faster amount of time than I've ever seen. Anyway, you can use that to get to the unconscious competence stage faster. Very, very key. So we talked about, let's go recap. So we talked about, who do you listen to? Teachability Index, training balance scale, 4 steps of learning. Okay. Another note on the 4 steps of learning. It's the same thing when you're looking at a business. If you're looking at a sales system, what a part of your things that, like, okay, I noticed this. What can I start to practice on? What can I automate? What can become residual? Right. A lot of people talk about residual income. It's another topic. And TechnoTutor can help you do that too. But you start internalizing habits within yourself, getting to unconscious competence. You want to start also automating certain sales systems, the things that are working, and also the things that are going to be taking away from your time and helping to automate that system. And there's a lot of good software. You can hire personnel to do that as well. So that's the 4 big basics. What's the 5th basic? The 5th basic is, you guessed it, master the basics. Every single sport, martial art, sales, everything has basics attached to them. If you go to a golf tournament, or if you go to a basketball tournament, or whatever, before they start even playing, during practice, they warm up. They practice on the basics. Oops, sorry. And they're doing little things. If you look at a professional golfer, he's just doing little putt-putts. He's not making crazy shots. If you look at basketball players, they're just doing free throws. They're doing basic drills. And those are the basics. To be a master, you have to master the basics. And if we're talking about sales, for example, there's a lot of small basics. Your communication, your presentation, your lead generation, your closing ability, the ability to follow through and handle objections and answers. Those are all the basics. You don't need all the most fanciest techniques all the time. A lot of people are always looking for, like, show me the latest and the greatest, shiny object syndrome. And all you really need to do is to look at the basics, focus on the basics, and master those basics. You can still practice on the high advanced stuff, but focus on the step you're on before you get to the next step. I mean, I could go on about the education system these days, but that's a big thing where in a lot of education, we're always moving with the group, right? If you looked at school, you're moving with the group. You went to level 2, level 3, level 4, or if you're in a graduate program, I mean, it was like week to week to week, and you didn't master the first step. And you had to go with everybody else's pace or the teacher's pace, not your own pace, which is why I think having a hybrid online and offline, school is really good. But go at your own. You want to master that first basic foundation. You can only build as high as your foundation is deep. So building that first step, then you focus on the next step. Then you focus on the next step. So in sales, for example, you focus on the basics and you master those two. The guys who do the most are pros at the basics. So that's some info for today. The 5 basics that I've learned on mindset, on sales, and you can use these for anywhere. You can use this in any industry. You can use this in any system, and those will be able to help you and, take it with you. It's something that I keep reminding myself. I check in with, like, hey, how is my teachability index? How is my attitude on things? Am I learning anything new? Am I mastering the basics, right? How are my basics? Are they a little rusty? Do I need to work on them a little bit more? Am I listening to the right people? Are these people that are worth listening to? I'm still learning from everybody and getting different perspective and opinion. And am I being open-minded about things? So, make sure, like, hey, I know a lot and I'm confident enough, but I don't know everything. There's a lot more out there, and I got to be humble enough so I can adapt to those circumstances. So I hope this is helpful. Live videos are a little bit more tougher. So again, this is early morning. It's 9 a.m. Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So hope everyone has a great day. If you are tuning in, check out the links below. Some of the things I recommend. If you're looking into tech sales, check out Uvaro. It's a 12-week, completely free. It's free online course that teaches you how to do tech sales. And I don't know that many that give you like free information like that also do job placement into 80K jobs, which is pretty cool. Second thing that I definitely recommend, it's a must do, check out TechnoTutor. If you don't know what it is, check out my video that I made 2 weeks ago about TechnoTutor. I give a full what it is, updates, reviews, how it's really transformed a lot of aspects of my life in the last year. And it's what it does is actually it takes away limiting beliefs that you have, replaces them with positive ones. Very essential for any type of endeavor, and it's going to make your life just a lot easier. So, hope that's helpful. Check those out, and hope everyone has a great day. Cheers.